Okay, we're back teaching Benjamin today. One of the things that we're going to do is we're going to take this cool piece of cherry here, and Benjamin and I are going to turn this into a little keepsake box. But the first thing we need to do is we need to recognize that this is a piece of cherry. It's rough sawed from the mill, which just means it hasn't been flattened and processed and made real pretty just yet. So we're going to do that. But the first thing we need to know before we get too far into that is what kind of the anatomy of this is. We just mean what the parts are, because that's going to be important how we process it. Right here is the edge of our board. So that's always the outside edge. And right here, this is the face of our board. So this is the face grain. This is going to be edge grain. So obviously then this hand down here, that's the end grain. So think of this as like you went to McDonald's and we raided the straw container and we took all those straws and wadded them up together, held them together. That's what the grain of the wood looks like. It kind of was standing up like this. So when this was part of the cherry tree, it was standing up like this, and the grains and the fibers of the wood run up and down. And they're kind of like little straws, literally, because during the spring of the year and the summer, the tree is bringing nutrients and water up to the leaves and the branches. And in the fall, when the branches all fall off, all that water and stuff goes down into the roots and stays there. So it's kind of like straws going up and down, and it's the fibers. So when we recognize that face and those edges and end grains, how we process it makes a difference between which sides we're going to use, which face we're going to use, and all that. Once we get it cleaned up, and it's going to be a combination of old hand tools and modern day electric equipment, we're going to rip it down to the width. So that rip along there, when we take and narrow that board up, is called a rip cut. When we go to cut it to length, we're going to cut the length of the board and shorten it up. That's called a cross cut, because it's going across the grain. So the first thing we want to do is we want to look and see which way the grain is going on this. So it looks like the grain is kind of going out this way. So the first thing we're going to do here at the bench is we're going to clean up this edge here. And we want to do that by taking our plane and running it down with the grain of the wood. So the grain is kind of laying down this way. We're going to run it from this end out. If we were going to go the opposite direction, we'd be going against the grain, and it might chip out, it might tear about. So what we're going to do, we're going to put it down into our leg vise here on the edge of the bench, and then I'll show you how we're going to plane this down using the hand plane that we cleaned up and restored a couple weeks ago. Ready?
Yeah.
Let's do it.
The first thing we need to do, we have to put our piece of wood into the leg vise.
Now that we have our wood firmly put in our leg vise, we got to take the plane, and this is the one that Benjamin and I restored a couple weeks ago. We're going to plane this edge nice and straight. So we've got our plane set up, so it's just going to have just a small cut out of there. We're going to start with the mouth of the plane. It's got to be off the wood. We're going to hold it down with the knob, and then our backhand is going to push on the toe and just slide it through there just like that. And you see it's just picking up just a little bit, holding it down, starting off the board, coming onto the board, and going all the way off the other end. We just do that repeated until we end up with a nice flat piece of board. Just like that. And that plane's long enough, it's going to straighten that out real nice. We'll tip our shaves out of there, and I'll let you do it. Slide over here, and I'll help you do it. And the whole objective here, again, is to get that face or that edge of that board nice and perfectly flat, perfectly straight. Hold it down more with the point. There you go. Then it starts coming through. Okay, why are we not getting any cut on there? Try it again. Now you're cooking with the grease. Put a little elbow grease into there and jam it through. And you just run that through until you get that piece perfectly flat and perfectly square. That hand plane works nice after you restored it, doesn't it? And the big thing here is just to make sure you're holding it down nice and flat and just driving it through. There you go. Drive it all the way through there. And you can hear when you start that your mouth is off the tool because it's not cutting anything, and you can hear at the end when it stops cutting. See that? Just like that. Look at those cool shavings you're getting off there. That's what you want to have. So go ahead and finish straightening that edge up. Dump everything out of it. There you go. And it's one of those things, you get enough practice at it. It just takes time to get good at it and get comfortable with it. There we go. Very, very good. One or two more times and we'll have it. There you go. And as you can see, the whole edge of the board, set the plane down on its side. You can see from this, all that rough sawed look that it had on it has all been cleaned up and it's nice and smooth now. And we went with the grain facing down like this, so it didn't go up against the grain and tear out. And also right there, we've got a really good, nice straight edge, all done with our hand plane. Very cool, huh? Mm-hmm. Right there, we've done to this board with a good old everyday hand plane that Benjamin and I had restored a while back, really nice and sharp. Now we're going to take it and do it the modern way. We're going to take it over to the joiner and show you how to do it with modern tools versus the antiques. We've done straightening up an edge with our hand plane. We're going to show you the modern way of doing it, which is called a jointer. We've looked at our grain pattern and got that marked here a little bit, so we're going to be pushing it this way. And what the jointer does is it's got an in-feed table here, it's got an out-feed table here, and then it's got this set of cutters that are spinning back at us through the middle. So what we want to do is we want to run this over those cutters, and then it'll clean that edge up real nice. And again, we're mindful of the grain direction there. So our in-feed table is a little lower than our out-feed table. The difference is how much our tool is going to take off every time. So we're going to want to take our hands on here and push this board toward the table, or better yet, let's use a push pad to hold that to the edge of the fence and all to keep it on there. And then on the back here, we'll just go like this. We're just going to run it through just like that. Ready? So we're ready for doing that. What do you think we should do for hearing protection and safety?
We should put on earplugs or these earmuffs that we are holding right now, and just put them on like that.
Okay, cover our ears up, protect our ears. Ready?
Yeah.
Here we go. I'm going to do this machine, and I'll show you how to do it, and then I'll have you do it.
Okay.
Okay? Now, I'm going to put this on. We're going to hold our board right next to the fence, real nice and tight. Just push it through like this, and listen to what it does. Cleans that edge up real good. Don't lean on the machine. Don't put your hands on. See how it cleans that up real nice? Run that through a number of times until we end up with a perfectly flat edge there. Once it's all the way through, then we can take our hands off and shut it off. Now, you can hold on to those. Here. A couple good things happened there, actually, good illustrations. One, we had our push pad keeping our hands well away from everything, and our hand is up here, well away from everything. We ran it through a couple different times, light passes, multiples of those will get us there. And one thing that you saw that I corrected Benjamin on is you put your hand here, which inherently not safe, but with power equipment and power tools in the shop, if you get in the habit of never ever touching the top of a machine that's running, then that machine can't ever get the opportunity to hurt you. Even if it's just touching it here, if you make it a habit of never ever touching the machine when it's running, then that machine can't get you. Okay. So always, always, always don't touch the top. The wood can touch it. Our pads can touch the wood. Our hand can be on the top of the wood. We can run that through to get that cleaned up. But nowhere in that process does my hand ever touch the machine. You always got to think safety in every way possible. And like you said, we protected our ears. We protected our hands with our push pad and keeping our hands away from it. And that gave us a nice, perfectly clean edge on that board. Feel how nice that is?
Wow.
Isn't that pretty slick?
Yeah.
So that's how we've got our edges on our fresh cut board here, ready to go. They're nice and perfectly flat now. Now we've got our board, we've got our edges squared up, and we're going to go back to the old way of doing it, and we'll show you how to flatten the face of it with a good old everyday hand plane. But first we've got to attach this to our bench, so we've got something to move. We're going to take these bench dogs. We're going to slide that one down in there. We always slide it in so it's down below the top of our board. So when we run our plane over, it doesn't run into us. And then we'll get our other bench vise here and we'll lock this into place. Like that. Okay, go ahead and push on that to make sure that it's nice and solid. It's not going to go anywhere. Very good. We've got that load tested. Cool, huh?
What's with this? Why is it pushing that way?
There's a hole here and a hole there. That one stops it. And this one holds our vise in place. And then with the threads, we can screw it in there nice and tight, just like the leg vise. And it holds it in place real nice. We're going to do this with the hand plane again, the one that we restored recently. Go ahead and wax that. Run it up there a couple times. Real quick. A whole bunch of times real quick. A whole bunch of times real quick. What this does is it lubricates the sole of the plane, makes it slide over the wood a whole lot easier. There you go. That's good enough. Now, we've got our grain pattern determined here, so it's kind of running at us. We're going to be okay. This board's got a little bit of a cup to it, and that happens. It's very, very typical for boards. And when it comes to flattening it with a hand plane, you can go across the grain, with the grain. It doesn't matter. I can feel that this has got a little bit of a hump in the center. So we're going to take that hump out first by doing that. Coming by you, buddy. Don't worry about the shavings. We got it pretty flat there. We're doing pretty good. We're taking off a good bit. And this is a number 5 Stanley bench plane. It's kind of the workhorse in the plane family. It kind of gets everything off and gets it all done nice and a little bit on the rough side, but that's going to clean off most of our surface. Then we're going to go with the grain a little bit. There. So that's our jack plane getting off most of the material. We're going to set that aside. You feel that's a little bit rough there? So we're going to grab a smoothing plane. Let's grab...
You took the whole entire blue off.
Yeah, isn't that cool? Yeah. So now let's try the number 4 just to smooth it off a little bit.
Well, that is totally different from the one that we put together.
Yeah, this one is called a smoothing plane. So it's designed because it's a lot shorter and we've got our board real flat. We're just taking all the edges and the ridges off with the smoothing plane.
It looks like you took
it's just a whole lot shorter.
Took like that whole piece and just smushed it together.
Yeah, it's a whole lot shorter. And that'll get our board nice and flat.
I like the shape of it.
Well, it's a little easier to handle, especially for a small guy with little hands. And right there, that's smooth enough for what we want to do. Feel that?
Oh, wow.
Feel how smooth that is? That didn't take much time at all. So that, again, is the old-fashioned way of doing it with the good old everyday pair of hand planes. We're going to go ahead and take it out. We're going to run it over to the joiner, the planer right now, and do the thickness with the thickness planer. So the modern way of thickness planing a board is to run it through a thickness planer. Pretty cool machine in that it's got a feed roller here. It's got a set of cutters right here, and it's got an out feed roller here. So it basically automatically feeds it. We push it in there. We've got one side nice and flat with our hand plane, and we're going to flatten up this side with the planer. We're going to bring the base of it up like this into the cutters once we get rolling, and then it'll cut it and it'll feed it right on through. So it's an automatic feed. Really cool thing. So
and then
this is real loud, Benjamin. What do you think we should do?
Let's put on our earmuffs.
You got that right. Let's put these on and protect our hearing. Ready to go?
Yeah.
I'm going to fire it up. Here we go.
Yeah.
Bringing the base up to make contact with our piece of wood. There we go. Send it back and we'll do the other end of it. One more. Now I did not turn on the dust collector just because I didn't feel like walking across there to do it for just a few passes, and I really should have. Because now it's going to be all plugged up with, there we go, nice and clean. Let's go back and get the other side to make sure it's nice and perfectly parallel with our first side. And right there we go. We've got our thickness taken care of on both sides. It's perfectly flat. If we were going to go for a specific thickness and wanted to make this narrower, we would simply run it through multiple passes, increasing the cut every pass that we make. We're going to turn it over each pass, so we're taking equal amounts off of both sides. But there our board is, nice and perfectly flat. Okay, Benjamin, so now we've got our board cleaned on both sides. We cleaned up both those edges on the hand plane and on the jointer. And then we got our faces all cleaned up, one with the hand plane, the other with the planer. Now we want to make our box not quite so tall, so we're going to cut it on the table saw. Remember that line that we had about a rip cut? Because we're cutting with the grain, so that's called a rip cut. We're going to do that here on the table saw. So the table saw is pretty simple. It's a table with a saw blade sticking out of it. And this is called the fence. So our good straight edge here, and it's always got to be straight, to push it up against there.
What happens if it's not straight?
If it's not straight, then you run the risk of it walking away from the fence and binding into the blade, and you get a kickback, where the saw might throw it back at you. So what we're going to do here is we're going to set our blade height first. And if you look down at the side, you can just see 3 or 4 of the teeth of the saw sticking up above the blade, and that's all we want to have. We don't want any more than that. We don't need that anymore. Is more exposure for risk to us. So we've got our blade as high as it needs to be right here. One of the things that's always important on the table saw, or any saw for that matter, is a push stick to push our piece through. This is a proper push stick. You remember we made this one a couple weeks ago. We're going to always start with our board just outside of our throat plate here. We're going to end just outside that throat plate. Our thumb is going to hold our board down to the deck. Our index finger is going to push it into the fence. We're going to push it through. Once our board gets all the way on our table saw, then we're going to grab our push stick and use our push stick. Okay. So that's one of our safety mechanisms. The other one is what we got to do with these, right? What are we going to do?
We need to put on our
earmuffs.
Earmuffs.
To protect what?
Our ears.
Our hearing. There you go. Fire them up.
Starting?
Nope. Stand right there a little bit. I'm going to show you because I always want to be off to the side like this. So if the board kicks back, it'll go right past me. So I'm always over here. I'm always just outside of our throat plate. I'm putting my thumb on it a little ways back from that. And I'm going to fire it up. We're going to cut this down. Now that I'm all the way on the deck, I'm going to grab our push stick, push it in there. When I get about there, I'm going to take this hand out of the way and push it all the way through with the push stick, all the way out to there. Then, being that we want them both to be the same size, we're going to set it here again, push it through again. And we're going to leave those pieces out there until our saw comes to a complete stop.
And if you saw that piece of wood went flying back, good thing it didn't hit Grampy.
That didn't hit us, right? That's right. That's right. So now, again, from a safety perspective, what we've got to do is we're done with our cuts. We don't want to leave that blade exposed. And for anybody to possibly run into this, we're going to lower our blade down. Lower that down, and we're going to put our fence over the top of it. So now, even if somebody that comes in that doesn't know anything about a table saw, if they come in and hit the button, the blade's not exposed. They can't get hurt anywhere by the button. And again, once again, where was the only place my hand touched the table saw? When I'm holding that board here, right? Once I got that board all the way on the deck, like this, we took that hand completely up and out of the way so it wouldn't be anywhere near any of this. So that is how we took and ripped our boards down to the same height. Pretty cool. That's how tall of our box is going to be. Pretty cool, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah, tell them it's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Okay, we're back at it, buddy. Now we're going to finish making our box. What we've got to do is we've got to have a groove in the bottom of that box, just like we would have in the bottom of a drawer. So we're going to show you the old-fashioned way to do that with what's called a grooving plane. And then we'll show you the modern-day way to do that with a table saw. So good with that?
Yeah.
So what this is it's got this really neat cutter right in here. It's got this skate that it kind of rides on. And then this part over here is the fence. So that fence rides right next to our piece here. We've got it locked down into our bench. We're going to set this on there and we're just going to drive it through like this. Look at that groove that it's going to cut in there, buddy.
It made a line.
Yeah. There you go. And now, this is only going to go so far down in there because of where the skate is and where the bottom of this is. So it's only going to go so deep.
This one looks like a tornado.
Looks like a tornado. You got that right. Okay. Right there, it bottomed out. So you'll see. Let's loosen this up a little bit.
Whoa, how far can this go?
Well,
deep
see how deep that groove is?
Mm-hmm.
That's pretty cool. It goes all the way down the whole thing like that. So we've got our groove in that piece. Let's take the other one and let's go over to the table saw and show you how to put that matching groove in with the table saw. So Benjamin, we put this groove in with our grooving plane over on the bench. We're going to match that and show you a different way to do it by using the table saw to do that. So what I did is I set the blade height to match the depth of the groove here. I set it up against here so we're cutting right in the same spot. So I used the one that we did with by hand to be our guide for our one that we're going to do here. So I'm going to take this over here. We like that side to be the inside. So we're simply going to fire this up. We're going to push it through. Go ahead and hit the start button and keep your hand off the saw. Go ahead. Now we're going to push this through. There you go. You're good. Now that's not going to be wide enough. That's not going to be wide enough for the material that we're going to put on as our base. And now that that is shut off, we can look at this and we can see that it's not quite wide enough. So what we got to do is we've got to move the fence just a little ways away from where our blade is. And we're going to fire that up and run it through again. So go ahead and hit that. What that'll do, and we don't ever reach across there until it comes to a complete stop. Patience, patience, patience. Now we've got our groove that's a perfect match for the groove that we've already done. That's how we put a groove in the bottom. So we're going to make this cool box, right? So we've got our pieces all cut to length. And we've got a groove in the bottom to put our bottom in. Now what we've got to do is we've got to make these mitered corners here. There's two ways to do that. We can do it on the old-fashioned miter box by hand, or we'll take it over to the miter box and do the electric ones. We'll show you both of them. Sound good?
Yeah.
Okay, so that's what we're going to do. We've got our blade set here. It's turned at 90 degrees, or 45 degrees, half the corner. We've got our piece in here. We're going to lift this up. We've got our wood there. We're going to hold it right up tight next to the fence there, and our inside where our slot is on the fence side over here. We're just going to take this, lower it down on there, and just push it through. The old-fashioned hand way of doing it. Takes a little bit to make this happen, but with a good sharp saw, it'll happen pretty quick enough. Okay, now we're most of the way through there, so I'm going to let you come in and do it. All we're doing is we're grabbing this one finger out here and just sliding it through. These will guide it. Hold one hand here and push it up next to the fence, nice and tight, with your thumb. Keeping your thumb well away from the blade, and then grab the handle here and start pushing it through. There you go. Okay, hold it up on the back like this a little bit and just slide it through there. Pushing hard. There you go. Want me to take over and finish it up? Because those are pretty hard to do. Okay, let me grab it. Step by the way. So that's what we got to do. And it's a good bit of work to push that through there like that. That's not easy to do. Not easy at all. And we can fast forward through some of this.
It sounds like a song.
I don't know that I've ever heard that song, man. But anyway, that's the old-fashioned way of doing it. That's the way they had to do it all the time.
It sounded like a song, so I was dancing.
That was the way they did it before they had electric power equipment. So you had to make that cut that way. If you did this all day, every day, you'd have serious arms on you for making the cuts like that. We're going to do the rest of them over on the electric miter box to make it do it the easy way. So now, Benjamin, what we're going to do is we're going to take our box here. We've got one miter that we already cut on our hand miter box. We're going to cut the rest of them on our chop saw here. So what I want to do is I want those all to be exactly the same length every single time. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to set my saw at 90 degrees from the fence. I'm going to put my tape measure down here. And I want the sides to be about 6 inches each. So we're just going to lock this down. This is called a stop.
Like this. Is it word different? Is it spell different?
No, just the same thing. And what it does is it allows us to put our piece up there. And when we go like this, if we set it straight like that, every cut that we make on this outside edge is going to be right at 6 inches. So we've got that one there. We're going to slide it up right next to our stop. We're going to turn it to our 45. And then when we cut that down, that outside edge will be 6 inches every single time we do it. So let's grab our ear protection and put that in place. And that's always a good idea when you're working around power equipment because it tends to be kind of loud. So we've got this in here. We don't really have a lot of room to hold our finger here, so I'm going to hold it on the outside for this particular cut. I'm going to pull that down nice and easy through. When it gets all the way through the cut, then I'm going to release the trigger and stop the blade while it's still down. I don't want to be pulling it up while the blade is still running and have it exposed, which can cause injuries. There we go. We let that stop. And there's our first piece. And the outside of our box is going to be 6 inches. There's our groove. So now we've got to take this one. We've got to turn it over. So we cut this angle back this way. We're going to turn it over like this. Make that cut again. Once again, allowing it to come to a complete stop before we move it. And this one, we're going to push back this way. We're going to turn it over so our groove is facing out, up next to our stop. I'm going to hold it here. And there we go. Now, when we put these two back to back, they're exactly the same length. If we do that on all 4 of our pieces, then we know it's going to come up to be a perfectly square box. Do you want to come over here and cut one?
Yeah.
I think you can do this, okay?
So how do you turn it on?
Well, there's a switch right here that you pull this switch, and then you pull the whole thing down, and when it's down, then you release that. Now, we're going to have to cut this one back at this angle, so we're going to set it right there. Come over here and hold it. Hold it next to the fence on that side. Nice tight with your hand. Right up there, nice and tight. Let me get around the other side. Let me get around over here. Okay, you got that held nice and tight right there. So we're just cutting that end off. Hold it tight to the fence, real tight with your hand. Get your hand further away from it. There you go. Hold that nice and tight, like that. And then fire it up and bring it down nice and easy. Hit the switch. Nice and easy. There you go. Now release the switch. Hold it down till it stops. Don't move your other hand. You always keep your hand here in place here and in place here, because if they're there and there, they can't get anywhere in there. Okay, now turn it over. Over again. Bring it up next to the stop here. Hold it in next to it and hold it back over there. Make sure your hands are nice. Make sure this is nice and tight up against there. And go ahead and make that cut. Nice and easy. Turn it off. Keep your hands in place. There, now that it's stopped, you can let it up out of there. And we've got another of our side cuts. So let me cut that one because that's too small for your hands to get close to it. Very good. We're going to cut this to reverse it to keep our slot in the right place. So those will all be exactly the same dimension now. We'll turn this over, slide it up next to our stop, go ahead and turn it off. There. Now we can lose our ears again. And there we have 4 identical pieces. Back to back, they're all exactly the same dimension. Let's take them back over to the bench and we'll dry fit them. And then we're going to make the base to put in the bottom. 2 ways to cut with the miter saw, the electric, and the old hand version of it. Give us our mitered corners to make our box with. For the bottom of our box that needs to fit in this groove, we're going to use this piece of plywood. But what we got to do is figure out how long that needs to be. For this situation, our box is going to be perfectly square, so it's easy to measure it. What we do is we take our tape measure and we put it in here at the end of that slot, all the way up to one end, like this. And then we go down to the other end and we see that it's about 5 inches. We come up about, it's 5 inches. We're going to take 1/8 of an inch off of that. So right down, we're going to go to 4 7/8. And they're all going to be square. So they're going to be 4 7/8. So again, what we did here is we took our slot, we came all the way to the end of it, down to the other end, we raised it up to about half the depth of our cut. And that shows us right about 4 7/8. So if we go to 4 7/8 with a little margin in there, our bottom of our box will have some room to kind of move around as we're going.
Okay.
So what we need is 4 7/8 by 4 7/8.
4
7/8, which is 7 over 8 fractions. So 4 7/8. So now let's go over to the table saw really quick, and we're not even going to film that. Now we're on our last step before we go to putting our box together and assembling it. What we've got to do is we've got to sand this inside, because once it's together, it makes that real difficult to sand. So we're just going to take our random orbit disc sander, and I'll do one and you do the other one. We're going to hold it down. We're going to start it up, hold it down flat on there and sand it just a little bit. It doesn't need much. Then we're going to turn it the other way, hold it again here, and sand it down here. And all this stuff is just to keep it from sliding around so much. So let's do this one. That's literally about all it needs. Just a little bit to get it sanded. That's all it needs. If you take and do this one, sand both ends of it, keeping it nice and flat. Go ahead. There you go. Now turn it around and do the other end. There you go. And again, the whole idea behind doing that is that once it's together as a box, it's going to be real difficult to sand those two surfaces. Another thing that we're going to want to do is this inside edge here and the inside edge down here. We're just going to sand those off just a little bit, knock that edge off them, because again, once it's together, that's going to be a real difficult thing to get into and get to do. So there's that one done. Go ahead and do that one. Sand that inside. Pick it up and hold it at an angle, kind of like that. There you go. You just go back and forth across the whole thing a few times. That's good enough. That's all you need. Then go to the other side. Sand that down, because everything else we can get to after it's together. That is all we need to do. Our next step, we're going to get the glue out, and we're going to get our rubber bands and clamps together. We're going to glue this box together, and we'll have her done. Cool?
Yeah.
So now that we've got our inside pieces all sanded up, we're going to dry fit them, which just means we're going to put it together before we put glue on it. We'll put one in one side.
And the other?
One in the other side, like that. Then we'll put our other two sides on. Like that. And just make sure it all is going to fit together just the way we want it to. Real nice. We're going to test fit it with our rubber band clamp. We're going to go like that.
But on the other box, I don't see it.
There we go. And you're not going to see the other clamps and all. So that's all we need to do.
Oh,
so
it's
now,
the rubber band.
Yeah. We know it'll go together. So what we need to do next is we need to take these pieces apart, lay them out flat like that. I like to keep them in the same order I had them in before. Mm-hmm. Okay. Be looking at
What's this for?
This is our glue block. Mm-hmm. So what we're going to do is I'm going to show you how to do this, and then I'm going to have you do them.
I have seen this before. I don't know where.
We did a video on this a while back, just on the glue block and how cool it is to have a glue block. And all it is, I like to I like to put the paint or the glue on with a brush, so I can control where it goes. When we're putting our glue on here, we don't want it to get on the inside of our box because it's hard to get off and hard to sand. So we're going to put our glue basically on the outside of this. We're not going to put any glue way on this inside edge so that when we put it together and squeeze it together, there won't be glue that'll get inside. So we're going to be very careful about where we put our glue, how much we're going to put on there. We opened up our glue bottle and put it on our glue block.
It kind of looks like mayo.
Like that?
It looks like mayo.
Yeah. So it's not a sea cucumber. We talked about that once before. So we're going to take our brush and just brush it on there like that. That's all we need to do. We don't have to be too particular about where it ends up, other than we don't want it anywhere near that inside piece there. So we're going to take that off. If we do glue on both sides of the joint, like that, all the way down, that's going to get us our glue exactly where we want it, just like that. There we go. Think you can do that?
Yeah, I can try.
No, you can do. We don't just try, we do. Okay, get glue off the glue block. Just get it on your brush. Whoa. Get a bunch on there and just run it down that outside of it. Don't get on the inside. Just put it on there so it doesn't get on your pants. Brush it around a little bit better. There you go. You're done with that end. Now go to the other end. Do exactly the same thing. You might need a little more glue on there, but that's good enough. Let me trade you for this one. We're going to put that one over here. Get more glue on your glue brush off your glue block. It doesn't matter how much you get on the outside of it because that's going to be able to be sanded and gotten off anyway. And then get more glue on there. Yeah, you're not painting the Sistine Chapel, Michelangelo. You're putting glue on a block. So get some more. No, you don't nothing to be sorry for. Just get enough on there to make it do what you want it to do. Right there. That's perfection right there. That is perfect. Let's take these and set those aside. Now, no, don't be smearing that around on your clothes or nothing. Now, grab these and put them on the centerpiece here. Put that one in over there.
And here?
Yep. Get this one, put it on there. So you're going to need to turn it down sideways like that. Pick it up and slide it in there.
No. I'm trying not to.
And there you go. Grab this one, put it up there on the side. Oh, hang on. There we go. Get this one on there. Don't worry about the glue. It'll come off your hands. It's your clothes you don't want to get it on.
I know.
There we go. Now we're going to put a rubber band on here because the pressure that it's under is what causes the glue to set and dry. It's not a matter of the glue drying. It's a matter of the glue having pressure as the catalyst added to it. Okay, put one on there.
I don't want this to break the window. Because what up? I don't want it to go.
There you go. Whoa.
Whoa.
All right, let's put one more on there just to have enough. See, it's already squeezing out of those corners, so that's a good thing.
I'm going.
That'll work. That's perfection. There, now got glue squeeze out there, so we got good joints there. We got good joints there. We got glue squeezing out over here. So there you have it. We have made a box today. Old-fashioned way, newfangled electrical way. So we got to let this glue sit up for a while. And the next time we get together, we will put legs on it of some kind, and then we'll put a top on it and go from there. So we'll have a box. Today, we're going to put the lid for our box through our router table and do a little bit of a rabbet joint around here so that it'll sit down inside of our box. So what I want you to learn today is how to set the router table up. We're going to use this, which is a rabbeting bit, and that's going to cut a little groove all the way around this for us so it'll sit down in the top of our box. Pretty cool, huh? It's got a 1/2-inch shaft. It's got carbide bits on it. It sits right down in the collet here like this. We tighten that up.
Why is these two metal things the blades?
Those are the blades. Those are what's going to do our cutting. And you notice we don't set it all the way down in the bottom. We keep it about a 1/4 inch up off the bottom.
Why don't we put it all the way?
Well, we don't want it to bottom out in the bottom of the receiver, because if it does, then it might not be able to be tightened up as good as it could. So we're just going to get it in there, pull it up nice and snug like that.
Don't break
No,
your
we're
wrenches.
not going to break anything, that's for sure.
Because it sounds like something.
We've
just
got
broke.
that nice and tight. Then we're going to take this. We're going to lower the bit down into our.
Is that like the screw to put
Yeah,
it?
it's going to put it down in there a little ways.
So is the white thing going to spin?
The white thing is going to spin around. That's what the router does. It's going to spin it in a circle.
How loud is it?
Well, it's fairly loud, so we'll take a break and get our ears back on. We're going to put this throat plate in there. That sits down in here like this. Nice and easy, and then this tightens that up so it doesn't come out of there.
It kind of looks like our wrenches, but a little bit wider.
Okay, so we want this just barely sticking up above the top. We want that to sit down in there quite a ways because we don't want to take very much off. This is a piece of cherry burl. You ever see a big tree that's got a big knot sticking out the side of it? This is one of those knots that sticks out the side, which we're going to take off very little bit at a time.
Why does it have? What happens if it's super low, like very low?
Well, we want it to be able to at least cut a little bit.
How low can it get?
Well, it can go all the way down below the table if we wanted to. Now we're going to pull the sides in just a little bit. Make sure that we've got just as little gap in there as we can.
What is this for?
That's for our exhaust port. If we were going to hook up our dust extraction to it and suck the sawdust out, but for what little we're going to do, we're not going to worry about it.
Do we need safety glasses?
We should have safety glasses on, so I'll get you a pair here in just a second before we get started. Now we've got to measure from the face of this to the back of our fence, so we've got to put a line out there at about 3/4 of an inch. And what we're going to do is we're going to start quite a ways inside that, and we're going to run our piece through until it measures exactly 3/4 of an inch. So let me go get our ear protection and safety glasses.
You already have some.
I already have mine on my face.
Yeah, you've got my safety glasses on.
Excellent. That's good. So what we've done now is we're taking care of safety, of course. We've got our eye protection on. Let's go get our ear protection on. And then what we're going to do is we're going to run this through. I want this rabbet to be maybe 3/4 of an inch wide because that's what the side of our box is. We want it to fit in there real nice. So we're going to make an initial pass and we're going to measure it. Then we'll have to adjust our fence back to probably get to the dimension that we ultimately want. So we're just going to take a little bit off of that. Now that we've got that all done, we're going to go ahead and plug in. And let's go ahead and get plugged in here real quick. Obviously, we don't have it plugged in while we're changing the blade out or anything like that. So, back with our ears on. We got our fence locked in place. We're going to fire this up and run this through for a test just to see how we're doing. So, stand over here a little bit just in case it kicks back. And what did I do with our push sticks? Right here they are.
Can I have a push stick?
Isn't that special? It's not on. Now we're plugged in. Now it should go. Well, I'll show you here. What we did is we ran that little rabbet joint on there. You see that? That's what we're doing. And we are right at 3/8 of an inch, and we need to be at 3/4. So we need to take our fence and move our fence back a pretty good bit to make sure we're in the ballpark. And we'll just kind of creep up on it to see if we can get there. Here we go again. Now we can see on there that we are about 5/8. We got to get to 3/4. And the reason we've got to get to 3/4, as you see on our box here, What we want for this top to sit down in that box like that. And we've got to get it 3/4 of an inch wide because the face of the box here is 3/4 of an inch. So that's what we're doing. We're creeping up on that. No yawning. I saw that, boy.
You can't stop me from yawning. That's what I have to do.
Let's see how wide that is now. 5/8, not quite 3/4 yet. So we've got a little ways to go. This time we're going to pull this one back, and we're just creeping up on it just because it's an easy way to do it. Well, we're real close right there. So we're going to run it like that, and then we're going to test it on our box. Make sure that we're in the ballpark here. That's what we're trying to do, is get that so it sits right in there like that. And boy, we're going to be real close with that. So here we go. We're going to run this all 4 sides. We'll take it off just a little bit so it's easier on the piece of wood. Turn it and go to the other side. This is going to be real pretty because this is a really cool figured piece of cherry burl. It's going to make a real neat top. Do that. Not do that. Okay, let's take off our ears. Let's stop. All right, there. Now we've got this. Look at this. We've got this nice little rabbet joint all the way around our top.
That
looks
very nice.
It's very nice. The reason I didn't want you touching the sawdust off of there is, like we talked the other day, you never ever touch the top of any machine that's running, ever. Not even way out here to brush the dust off. And what happens if you happen to run your finger down in there or something like that? If you make it a habit never ever to touch the top of any machine that's running, then you minimize the risk of that machine ever hurting you.
Okay.
So I don't care where the sawdust is or what's on the machine. When it's running, the only thing that touches the machine is the wood and the push block.
Okay.
You see, my hands never ever touch it, and they never ever will. I make it a habit to never ever touch any machine that's running.
Okay.
Now we're going to test this to see if it fits down in there. And look at that. Boy, we're so close.
Wait, we're so close?
It's off by just a little bit in terms of wanting to sit down in there like we wanted to. So what we've got to do, man, we're good side to side. And we're not quite as good as we need to be end to end. So boy, we are so incredibly close to fitting down in there nice and easy. So we're going to take this and we're going to bump this back just a little teeny bit.
I don't even see it moving.
Well, I felt it move. I didn't even see it move. I just felt it move. And we're going to make one more pass. And what that'll do is it'll take this inside block here. Pay attention. It's going to move this in just a little bit to make it fit just that much better. So go ahead and put your ears back on. Get your eyes on. Always protecting. And stand over here again. We're going to fire this up. We're going to run this through for the last time, hopefully. I left that over there when I shut the machine off. I'm not going to reach out and grab that until the machine has stopped turning, because I don't want to be having motion of my body anywhere close to that while it's still running. Always be mindful of that safety. That's a huge factor. Okay, so now look at that.
we have made.
Our lid sits right down in there, just perfect.
But we're not done with the box yet.
We're not done with the box yet because do you think that looks okay that way, or it should be a little, should the lid sit down a little further? If we make the rabbit just a little bit deeper, it'll sit down in the box a little better. So let's take out our adjuster on the elevator here for our little Jessom router stand, and let's take that blade. We're going to move it up just ever so slightly like that. We're going to run this back over there again, and what it'll do is it'll make that rabbit just a little bit deeper. So, around and around we go. Let's get the ears back on, get your eyes back on. Let's run it one more time. Okay, I want you to step over here just a little bit so the sawdust coming off there doesn't get anywhere near you. There we go. This is why these push cuts are so important, is this is between me and where that blade is. So even if the wood kicks out, my hand's not going to be exposed to that at all. Put those down, we'll wait for that to come to a complete stop. And I think we'll have enough of a rabbit around our top to sit down into our box nice and easy. You see now how this is much deeper?
Yeah.
Much, much better. Let's put it back in our box.
Let's see if it will work.
That's going to sit down in there. That's a perfect fit. There's just a little bit of margin in there for it to move around a little bit, and it looks really nice on there like that. So look at that. Isn't that special? That's pretty cool. There we have made the rabbit on our box lid to sit down into our box.
But we're not done yet.
We're not done yet.
We're going to give some box some legs.
We're going to give this box some legs. So that's our next part of our project. Is we're going to make some legs for that box.
Yeah.
Okay, Benjamin, now we need to make some cool legs for our box, just so it sits up off the deck a little bit. And what I was thinking is we've already made a rabbit in our lid for it to sit on here. Let's take this piece, let's run it back over to the same router table, and let's make our legs. Let's put a rabbit right there in our legs too, to make a leg profile like that. We take that part out, and then our box can kind of sit on that part right there, and that'll elevate it to make our legs out of it. So we've already got the router table set up for cutting that rabbit, so let's do that again.
Okay.
That'd be pretty cool. I thought about using these old piano keys, but they were too long and it didn't really kind of work for legs, you know, as neat as they would be.
These used to be on piano?
Yeah, those are on neat old-fashioned piano that I used to have. So let's take this piece of Purpleheart. Let's go over and run it over the router a bunch of times to get that same rabbit in there. And then let's cut him off this way to make legs out of it. So we're going to take this piece of Purpleheart and we're going to run a rabbit across here because it's already set up. We're going to make that so the box will sit on those and go through. So right here we go. Got a close-up going on here. Step off just a little bit so if it shoots back, it's not right at you. So now that we've got our leg profile made here, what we're going to do is we need to cut them to length here on the miter box. So being that this opening is pretty wide, we had to put this sacrificial fence in here to keep the piece from sliding through when it's cutting. And then we put a stop here to make sure that they all end up exactly the same length. So what we'll do is we'll set this up here. We're going to clean up this end and cut that off. That'll cut a slot for our blade here. And we'll cut 4 legs for our table to perfect length. So let's see if we can get this out of the way a little bit. See what happens. And again, every time when we're cutting on the miter box, we have this hand down here holding our piece. This hand's holding our blade. We let the switch off. We let it come to a complete stop before we pick it up. So that's the profile of what our leg's going to look like. So that's our first sample piece. I'm going to put another one in here and cut it. There's our first real table leg, or box leg rather. We're making a box. So when we hold it down between there, we've got our leg held against our sacrificial fence here and against our stop, so it just stays in there. It doesn't get the chance to wiggle out or anything. What do you think of that, buddy? Pretty cool way to do it, huh? We made the profile, and then we cut them to the length that we want. There we go. And then when we're done with your saw, always lock it down so it's the safest place it could be. There's our last one. And then here's the profile that we have for future ones. We'll hang on to that in case we want to make more legs in the future. Yeah, the color of that wood is purple because it's called Purpleheart. And the way these legs are going to sit on there is we're going to set the box up on its side. We're going to put a leg under there, kind of like that. And another one over here. I can't see it because it's facing the camera. And right there, that's kind of how our legs are going to work. So go ahead and put one underneath this side. Set it on there and set the other one on the other end over here, right over here. Other way. Like that. And there we have our cool legs for our box. All we got to do is glue them in place. So what we'll do is we'll put a little bit of glue on them, and we'll get our rubber band clamp on there.
Why do you have to put a rubber band around?
Well, when we put the glue on there, the glue, we'll be honest, we want them to stay in place. So the rubber band is what holds our legs onto the side of our box.
Okay.
So we've got an illustration right there. So that's what our legs are going to look like on the box. That's if we put them all on the corners. If we put one in the middle on all the sides, it would do the same thing. If we put one on each corner like that, it would do the same thing. But I think for this one, we'll put them on the sides like that and have it ready to go. With that, let me go get the glue. And we'll glue our legs on. We'll do a little sanding on them, and we'll attach them to our box.
Yeah.
Cool idea, huh?
We're going to, we already sand the face.
The top and the faces.
The top and the faces. Now I'm going to do the edges.
And why do we do the edges first?
Because, so we can sand them.
That's right, because if we get the legs on it, we won't be able to get to those edges. So go ahead and sand them. Go ahead and sand them and get it ready. And something we ought to do is we ought to do the same thing on the feet. So I'll get the feet while you get those.
All right, I'm done with that.
Okay, get the bottom of the edges too. We got to get all the edges all the way around. And this is just a whole lot easier to do before you set the whole thing together, before you glue it all together. So it just expedites the process a little bit, makes it a little easier to do it. All those sharp edges that we won't be able to get to once it's glued together is what we're trying to get now. There we go. We got all those edges now. We're good. We're good. Now that we've got all of our edges sanded and ready to go, it's time to attach the legs that we just made. What we're going to do is we're going to put a little bit of glue on our famous glue block here.
And this is the only glue block that we have.
The only one we have
in the whole entire shop.
Yep, that's right. So what we're going to do is we're going to take our legs here, and we're just going to get a little bit of glue on our brush. We're going to brush the inside here just a little bit, and a little bit on the bottom. And that way we can set it right up here on the edge of our box. And this is going to be our spacer that's going to tell us how close to the edge it needs to be. We want them all to be the same. So we put a spacer in there, and that gets them to be the same. We're going to hold that in place just for a little while. And we're going to get a little dab more glue on from our glue block. Put it here on the bottom, like that. Put it there on the inside, like that. We're going to set this down onto our box like this. Put our spacer in place.
So what is a glue
Hold
box?
it in place.
What is a glue box made of?
That's just an old piece of wood, and we just kept piling glue on top of it.
Huh, so it's
And using it because I like to take my brush and be able to brush the glue on.
so
And now if we get this on there.
so this used to be wood until you kept using glue.
Yeah, and just the excess glue just stays on it. There we go. So we got those
I can
clamped in
see
place.
the glue on the wood right
Okay,
there.
so now let's look at doing the other side. You think you can put glue on here?
Yeah, can do that.
Let's put that on there. And what we want to do is we want to put that on this part of it. So get some glue on your brush and put it just inside there. Okay, and a little bit on this face too. Okay, we got to kind of do it more like this because we want it to kind of be in the center,
Okay.
not on the edges. We don't want it on the edges.
Okay.
Okay, now put this in place. I'll hold the spacer. Let's turn it this way so they can see it out there. Okay, and set it on there. Now I'm pushing over to where the spacer is, so we're spaced nice and even. Okay, and then hold that in place for a little bit while I get us a little more glue on a glue block.
The glue box.
Famous glue block.
Yes.
Okay.
One and only.
Now we're going to turn this around while that stays in place. Go ahead and put your glue on this one.
Okay.
There you go. Right on the bottom here and then right on that face. Just a little bit on there. That's enough. That's plenty. Very, very much plenty. Almost too much. We got to wipe it off.
Sorry.
There's nothing to be sorry for. We just got more glue than we need. That's all. All right. We're going to set this in place. We're going to put our spacer on there. And the spacer, just make sure we get them all the exact same length from the edge of the board. We're going to hold that in place, apply a little bit of pressure to it so it'll stay in place.
So how many boxes have you made? Like
How many keepsake boxes like this have I ever made?
Yeah.
Probably,
Including this one.
I would say well over 1,000.
I do have some
You've got a couple of them that I make because I make them for family every year. Have for a lot of years. So right there we have our legs
where you want me
glued
to
on
put the brush?
to our bottom of our box. And now we just got to sit there and wait for that to dry and do its thing. So while that is drying, I think we'll go to lunch.
Yeah.
Let's go grab some lunch.
Yeah.
We'll come back and that'll be dried and ready to go. And then we'll put a finish on it and we'll have it done.
Yeah.
So we've got our box all done. We've got the feet on out of the clamps. Now it's time to put a little bit of a finish on it to protect the outside and enhance it a little bit, make it feel a little better. What we're going to do is what's called Danish oil. It's just a really nice finish that's oil-based. It enhances the color of the wood. It brings out the luster and the character of it. We're going to brush it on with a foam brush, and then we'll wipe off the excess. So we're just going to take a little bit of this,
Is that the same cup?
pour it into a cup like that.
It looks like the same cup we used to tell everyone what you do after.
With the glue brush? Well, it's a different cup. Same color, but different piece. So let's take the top off.
Okay.
We'll set this aside. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn it over here and look at this. Look what this does.
Oh wow.
Doesn't that just bring it right to life?
Yeah, it looks like our pen.
Brings all the character of that cherry burl and just brings it out and makes it come alive. So we're going to put on a little
Is
extra
that what it
like
looks
this.
like?
That's what it'll look like when it's finished.
No. Does it
When
look?
it's done.
Did it look like when it was on the tree?
No. Okay, we're going to go down the sides. And all this with the foam brush, all we're doing is we're putting on a little extra and we'll let it sit for a while so it'll soak up a good bit of it. And then we'll take and
You splashed.
you'll live. We're going to get that on there and then we'll let this sit soak it up a little bit, and then it's beautiful, isn't it? That's why we chose that cool old piece of wood.
Let's see what it does to this.
Okay, so we don't mind putting it on the top. We just don't want to go down inside the box. So just take it and lightly run it across there, like that. And then go ahead and set the box up kind of on a side like this, and just lightly brush it down the side. There you go. Make sure the whole thing is dry, or is covered. Now, you got a little bit on this end. You just got to take it nice and easy. And don't just flick it off the end, because that's what will happen. It'll flick off and it'll get all over your shirt and all over the workbench. So you got that side. Now turn it over and turn it over to get this side. Doesn't take much to put this on there to cover it real well.
You want me to do the legs?
Yes, we're going to do the feet as well. You kind of have to work your way around to get the feet. There you go. And do not touch the inside of the box with your glove, because we don't want the finishing in there. Do all the way around all the feet. There you go. Inside, there you go. Get everything all the way around. Kind of the tedious part of putting a finish on is that you want to cover the whole surface of everything. Unfortunately, with an oil-based finish like this, it'll soak in real well.
I think I need more.
Okay, then let's get a little bit more on our foam brush.
It will. We wear gloves because
we want to protect our hands from the finish.
Because it won't wash up easy.
No, it doesn't clean up real easy. Keep going, so go all the way around the bottom like that. Not on the inside, just on the edges. There you go. You can turn it over and set it down like this to do the bottoms of the feet. There you go. Keep going, make your way all the way around it. You'll turn it up and do the other two sides that we still have outstanding. Get that side. Run it along with the grain. Run the brush with the grain. There you go. And that spreads out real good with that foam brush. Then turn it and get the other side. And just one side left. Up on its edge. And do that side. And then we'll have it.
I still gotta do on these feet.
Yep. And with Danish oil like this is, it soaks in, it covers real well. It brings out the character of the wood real well.
Yeah.
And protects it a little bit too.
And that looks like a pin we made a while ago.
A while back, exactly. We made it out of a piece of, probably that same piece of wood.
So if you want to find that, just, what was it called again?
There you go.
Still gotta do these pieces.
Okay.
And if you, what was it called?
That.
What was it called again, Grampy? The type of, the video?
That we did on the pen? Just how to make a pen. Okay, and leave your gloves on. Let that sit there. We're going to be done with that. And what we'll do after this has had a few minutes to soak in, you can see the excess there. We'll get it off the bench too. We're going to simply wipe that down.
Are we going to sandpaper this or no?
No, we are all done sanding. All we're doing is putting the finish on. And we've put a good amount of finish on. We've given it an opportunity to soak in. Now we're just taking off the excess.
Why did we not do the inside?
Because I don't like doing the inside of a keepsake box. That's all, just a personal preference. Look at how nice that looks.
Wow.
That's pretty cool.
Looks like just a wood kind of wood.
It looks like the wood, not so much the finish. So we're just taking off the excess. It'll still continue to absorb some of what's on there before it cures and dries.
I'm just showing them what it looks like.
Feels good, doesn't it?
Yeah.
You did a good job with this. Okay.
This is how you make a keepsake box.
Yeah, put the lid on the box. Use this to wipe off the fingerprints from your gloves. Use two of them, hold it with one, and wipe it off with the other. And there you go. Wiping it down. Good old Watco Danish oil. Beautiful finish on cherry burl and cherry with the Purpleheart feet on it. Hand me the rags. And now, no, don't touch it with your gloves on. We wipe it down with towels, and then we don't touch it until it's dried. So it's going to sit here and it's going to dry probably overnight to get the real good finish on it. But right there, we've got our finish all in place, and we have
made a keepsake
we
box.
have made a keepsake box with hand tools, power tools, with a lot of good ideas and a lot of good experience. Purpleheart feet, cherry wood for the box, cherry burl for the lid. Protected our ears when we had loud equipment. We protected our eyes when the sawdust flying. We protected our hands from the finish. We have completed our lesson in box making. Part of it by hand, part of it with power tools. So right there, you got a cool little project that you can do. Go ahead and follow along with that. And if you got questions, leave them in the comments down below. Obviously, we'll ask you to subscribe and follow what we're doing here at the Highwheel Woodworks with my little buddy Benjamin. Have a great afternoon. Goodbye. See you later. Sayonara. We're gone. We got it, buddy.
Yeah.
We'll edit that last part out of there.